Hello, hi, and welcome to the Plot Twist podcast. My name is Catherine. I am coming to you from Berlin, Germany, which is where I grew up and where I now live with my husband and our 3 kids. This is a podcast primarily about knitting, and I'm going to talk more about what all I'm going to talk about in the podcast. I want to put it that way. This is going to be a slow fashion podcast. So this is supposed to be a podcast about, yes, knitting primarily, but also sewing, spinning, mending clothes. It's a what's the word? Project, purpose thing, very near and dear to my heart, that we live a slow fashion lifestyle and not a fast fashion lifestyle, that we all are more mindful of our clothes, of our clothing, that we treat our clothes well, that we wear our pieces long enough, mend them when they break, when they turn them into something else when they're no longer wearable in their original form, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to talk about mending a whole lot, I assume. At least that's the plan as well, even though this is going to be primarily a knitting podcast. But to me, like, knitting is also a big part of my slow fashion lifestyle, because I create my own pieces as I go, and knitting takes a lot of time, so that that's going to be what I'm focusing on. Oh, Jesus. This is so awkward because I feel very awkward talking to myself, basically. But I've been wanting to film a podcast and become a podcaster for a while, and I figured that for a long while, for a long while, and I figured I just have to do it, even if it's incredibly awkward. So please bear with me and hang on in there, because it's getting better. I'm going to settle in there and get more used to that situation of like sitting in front of the camera and talking to myself and having no one ever talk back. But I'm going to get there. I'm convinced, because everybody else seems to be easing into that thing very soon. So I'm starting this podcast because I want to connect to more knitters out there. I live in Berlin already, so it's a big city. There are many knitters here. There's knit nights, or I should have been there. I should say there have been knit nights before COVID. They haven't really taken up yet again, unfortunately. So I know other knitters. That's not the thing, but I don't have close personal interaction with other people who knit like I do, who are, as you say, like a knitter with a capital K. So my mother-in-law is one, I would say. I have another friend who definitely is a knitter with a capital K, but she lives not in Berlin, sadly, anymore, but a few hours car drive away. Hi, Fancy, if you're watching. And then I have another friend who knits, but that is to say, she knows how to knit. And I think she's been knitting on the same shawl for 3 years, which is absolutely fine. There is no judgment on my part. It's just that it's a whole different story when you're a knitter who occasionally knits a row, or someone who knits compulsively on a daily basis because otherwise they're too stressed out, or to me, knitting is how I manage to remain sane in a way, to keep my balance, to de-stress, to wind down, to let go of stuff that bothers me. So it's not like Sue of Legacy Fiber Arts often says, it's not a choice, I have to knit. I just have to knit, right? It's never been a choice really for her. That's what she says. And when she said that, I thought, oh my goodness, that's exactly how I feel about it. So yeah, I've been knitting for over 30 years now. My grandmother taught me when I was 7. And yeah, I've been knitting and knitting ever since I can remember almost. But I have to say I've been a shawl knitter for a long while when I was younger, which is not to say fancy shawls that we now knit Stephen West style, but just like scarves. That's the word, a scarf knitter. Like I've knit scarves for everyone that I knew, basically. I had great fun doing it, and I think it was good to just get develop a very even stitch definition and really develop my own tangent, like how I knit, basically. But after that, my grandmother taught me how to knit socks. So in my teens, when was that? It must have been when I was 13 or something. And then I knit more and more socks and fewer scarves. So up until I was in my early to mid 20s, I knit mostly socks, I would say, with the occasional shawl. And in my 20s, I did start to venture into sweater knitting too. Not that it matters, I don't have to be that precise, but it's just, I eventually, when I had my first child, my son who just turned 7, my oldest son, that's when there was a definite switch, where I started knitting more and more and more, and became much more adventurous and much more courageous and much better too. I mean, I knew how to knit, but I was still timid, and I thought, I admired those sweater knitters, and I never thought I could actually be one of them. And I thought it would take me forever to knit a sweater, and I was still very reluctant. I was a reluctant knitter, yeah. And I didn't knit on a daily basis before, but I was more I needed the occasion to, no, that's not even it. I always had something on my needles, and when babies were born, I knit little jackets and stuff. That I did, and they were nice. But anyway, I just knit more and more and more and more, and it just took up so much more space in my life. When my first son was born. And I really felt, it was a big deal for me, because I really felt, I have a background I have a PhD in English. So I felt a huge shift away from that purely intellectual being to being much more of a physical being. And I needed to produce something and to do something with my hands all the time. And it's a shift that still lasts until today. That is very interesting, because for me at any rate, because my knitting really set free other changes in my life. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. I'm going to talk more about that when the time comes, not today. Let me quickly check my notes. So yeah, I'm going to talk about all the things that I mentioned in this podcast, and about what I currently read, because I still am a scholar, even though I have now let go of the pressure to read very ambitious things and allowed myself to just read whatever I fancy, because, well, I don't have as much time on my hands to read anymore with my little kids like I used to, and also my knitting honestly has been eating away at my reading time a little bit, and I've allowed for that to happen, even though that was a struggle too. But I just accepted that, and I thought, it is what it is. And I love knitting so much that I could never really question that shift. But I still am a reader, obviously, and so I'm going to talk about whatever it is that I read, if I think it's worth mentioning. And oops, I'm sorry. I'm also going to talk about shows or movies that I watch, just because it's always fun to me when other podcasters do that. I want to quickly mention that this is supposed to be a podcast where everybody's welcome, that this is supposed to be a safe space for everybody. I invite you all to come here and share and comment and interact, but please be nice, be respectful of the other person and of their project and of their creativity and of their just presence, because I want for negativity to stay out of this and for this to be really a space where everybody can feel safe and where everybody can relax into that space and that community and not be stressed about it. Okay, so let's get into things. Oops, I'm sorry. I still have to learn how to do this because I'm still clumsy around technology and setups, and and I come from literature. Like literary scholars are not very pretentious with their gadgets and their, people don't even have a PowerPoint most of the time. So like technology is like nothing that comes easy to me. So please bear with me. I am sipping on a cup of black tea, by the way. Ostfriesentee, if you're German, you will know what that is. It's a certain it's a specific kind of sort of tea, a black tea, and you drink it with a certain kind of sugar in it that you put in first, and then you put in the tea leaves, and then you pour the water, and then you're not supposed to stir because the sugar is to remain at the bottom for like the very last sip and a half, which I'm not as adamant about. Like I usually do stir just a tiny bit so that it does make a tiny little bit of a difference. If I don't drink this, I'll drink green tea or black tea with milk. That's really it. And today is a super hot day in Berlin, much, much warmer than I would have wished for myself. I'm still drinking tea because it's the only way of being for me. Like I can only drink tea. I don't know. I would never quit my tea, and I would never quit my knitting, even if it's hot outside. I'm still gonna knit on a sweater and drink my tea. I'm not one for cold drinks. Okay, cheers. Let's jump into FOs. So I'm gonna start with things that I've finished. And well, this is a tricky category for episode 1 because I could show you everything I've ever made. I'm gonna show you what I've made in recent weeks, and that is also tricky because I haven't made much. So I have been mending like a crazy woman because my sons wore through their jeans like there was no tomorrow. So I kept mending the same 4 jeans over and over and over again. So it was patch, 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 and then a patch to cover the first 2 that, had to be mended again. So the mending madness is over a little bit because we've really moved into summer and those jeans were not needed as much anymore. So yeah, I've been also mending like all kinds of holes in pockets, hems of t-shirts and whatnot, like all kinds of teeny tiny things, holes in leggings and tights that belong to my 1-year-old daughter who has been wearing through many of those. So I kept mending the same items over and over and over again. It was almost exclusively kids' clothing. So, and I'm fine with that. I do that because I believe in mending and it's important and it's the right thing to do. And a kid doesn't care. Neither do I. And, but also like often the mended clothes look very fun. Like they look nicer than they did before sometimes. And my kids have grown to like appreciate a good patch or to choose their fabric or to say like, can you embroider something on this? And, which I'll do happily. We'll talk about that more, when the time comes, when I have active like projects in my hoop or on my lap. I'm going to sit here and show you what it is that I'm mending or stitching. I'm not much of a stitcher, but, so I didn't bring all of those teeny tiny items because nobody wants to see them. But it's a long-winded way of saying like I haven't I don't really have much of a knitted finished object to show you. But I'm going to show you my kind of year-long project that in the beginning of the year, I bought a whole lot of, oh man, now I forgot to bring a ball with a little label on it. Because I'm at my mother-in-law's place who lives in our building, but obviously it's a different apartment. So I had to like transport all my stuff over here to show you. And I forgot that little ball band. Anyway, I bought a cotton yarn, which I will leave you in the description box below, just like everything else. Also where you can find me, which I'm realizing now I didn't say. I'm going to leave my Instagram name, which is Katharina Knits, and my Ravelry name, which is Frau Christ, on in that description box below, so you can go those places and check out all the information that you're missing or looking for, and just get an idea of like what you're getting yourselves into. So I'm knitting on dishcloths. I bought a whole lot of colorful cotton yarns that you can wash at 60 degrees Celsius. Don't ask me what that is in Fahrenheit, but that you can wash a little warmer than you would your normal clothes. So that they, I just like to do that when we've used them in the kitchen. And I'm going to show you what I have produced so far, because I figured I'm just gonna keep knitting them because they're such a portable, mindless project. I'm also going to link the pattern that I use because I don't know what it's called. It's the one that Cave, the crazy sock lady, uses. Grandma's favorite dishcloths. Is that what it is? That could be it. I'm going to leave that in the description box as well. It's easy peasy. You have it memorized in no time at all. And that's what I kept knitting on. And I've produced 8 so far. On a car ride or on evenings where I can't, for the life of me, like concentrate on anything, where I just want to knit for another 15 minutes before I go to bed. That's what I'll pull out. Sometimes I just need that color play in my life, and that's the motivation to get these out. And then a friend asked me for a few, so here they are. Like I've made a whole little stack of dishcloths, and when I run out, I just, as Stephen West says, I use that as a color opportunity and start a new color. That's the one that I really like. That's one. This Grello is, I made 2 of those because I really enjoyed that. And then there's this red pinkish one. So that's my little stack of dishcloths. And yeah, yay. So that's my little FO batch kind of the year so far. I've obviously finished other things, but I'm not going to show you hats that I knit in March now. There's going to be a time for those items as well, but it's just not going to be today. So my most active work in progress, so we're moving on to works in progress, is in this beautiful bag. So it says plants are friends. I often just use like these cotton bags because I have a whole lot of them and they serve me well as project bags. I am knitting on the Stripes sweater by Andrea Mowry. Hold on. I have to maneuver it in such a way that you can actually see something. There it goes. This is the front. Ooh. I like to scrunch up my knitting on relatively small circumference cords because I don't like a long cord and then you have to maneuver your stitches all the way all the time. I like it compact and scrunched up. So, but that's not viewer friendly. Here it is. That's the thing. and then down to here. So I'm not going to make it cropped, which is why, so this is the underarm. And this is like, well, I'm almost there. I think I'll need another 1 or 2 stripes to get close to the recommended length of about 30 centimeters. So I think I'm going to need 2 stripes and then the hem. Yeah. So that's it. This V is just due to the scrunched up situation. It's not a pattern thing. Isn't that pretty? I am really looking forward to being able to wear this. This is a beautiful little stitch marker. Can you see how it glitters a little bit? It's a glittery, maybe you can see it, it glitters. Oh, the other side, that's the glittery side. You see that? Oh, it's so pretty. That my friend Francie made for me just when my daughter was born, so 1.5 years ago. And it's just so happy and colorful and, you know, golden. I put it on here to, not as a progress keeper so much, but actually to mark a spot, which I realized just now. So that's that. And so the red is the non-superwash fingering weight base by my friend Debbie of the Loving Path Yarns from Canada. Hi Debbie, if you're watching. This has been a joy to knit with, like really. This is a very, very smooth, beautiful yarn, and oh my God, the color is just so amazing. Can you see this? Like, I think it shows pretty accurately. This rich, dark plum red, I would still, well, it's actually purple. This is really my kind of color. Like, I love jewel tones. This is so beautiful. And so this is the main color. That is every other stripe. And this is a folded, I went for the folded option. So this is a folded hem. Can you see this? Where you cast on with a provisional cast on, and then you knit twice the height of the collar, fold it in on itself, undo the provisional cast on, catch the live stitches, and then you knit those 2 edges together, and then you just keep knitting. I'm not giving anything away because that's just how you do a folded over, a folded cuff. Neckband. I'm not sure how to say this, but you know what I mean. So that's that. So it's nice and with no transition, right? So you don't have a ridge, you just have this nice folded over situation, and it holds up comparatively nicely. So it's a bit firmer, not as flimsy as sometimes a color may be, that it just lies flat, but this has a tendency to hold itself up a little bit, I find. And I'm gonna wait and see, wait and see how it works out with this one, with this yarn, because I've never used it before. But luckily I have enough after this project to use in another. So in another project, and I'm gonna use it in a sweater project, I'm sure, but I'm not sure yet what I'm gonna do with it. So I bought 3 skeins of this Bloodmoon colorway. It's the Bloodmoon colorway. I don't know what the name of that base is because I don't have it in my bag and it's in my apartment. Well, sorry, next time. Or go check on Ravelry, but that means I have to update my Ravelry page. I'm gonna let you know what it is exactly sooner or later. And then this is the speckly white, beautiful thing here. This is a Homespun House. Her gold Stellina base, and I think the colorway is called Folklore. I bought some of Molly's yarn just a few months ago, and then I went for the option of a mystery skein, and that was that. And I thought, oh, perfect, because the red specks in here, can you see how they align with the Bloodmoon colorway? So yes, that was a win. And this green is also a Homespun House. This is also a Homespun House colorway, but I don't think she makes that that colorway any longer. It was her Monstera colorway, so yay! There's the Monstera up here. It must have been called Monstera, and that was, I think I purchased that 2 years ago. It's her non-superwash fingering base. Also beautiful to work with, like all three of those. And I just went for it and put those together, even though this Folklore colorway is not non-superwash, it's a superwash merino. But I don't care. I'm just gonna go for it because the colors make me happy and I'm gonna make it work. It's going to be just fine. So these are my colors, yeah. So this finally is put to some use because I've been trying to find the right project for this green yarn for quite a while, and now I think I found it. So I'm really happy with this one, and it's going to be a little bit much longer. Than there's going to be the hem, and then there's obviously going to be 2 sleeves. I'm going to make them long because I think so, because I don't particularly love shorter sleeves. I like long sleeves and long sleeves. I'm not gonna make them up to here, but like so that they slide a little bit up the wrist. Yeah, so that's one work in progress that I am working on pretty monogamously right now. So when I knit, I usually knit on this, but there is one project that I keep in my kitchen so that I am prepared for, you know, any tiny window of time that presents itself so I can knit on something else. This is in my mending bag, just a tiny little bag for a tiny little project. And this time I have the tag. Can you believe it? I am knitting the Musselburgh hat. Oh man, this is the tough one for me. Head, hat, sock, head, hat. That is really a name of a pattern that I need to really concentrate on when I say that. But this is not going to be a sock, head, hat. This is going to be a Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague, I think. For me, it's always the Musselburgh hat because Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady pronounces it that way, or pronounced it that way in her, you know, when she knit her 500 Musselburgh hats. But I'm aware that I think it is actually pronounced Musselburgh hat. Hat. Did I say it correctly now? I don't know, but just allow me to mix those words up because it's good. It's going to happen anyway. So the yarn is, again, Debbie's yarn, The Loving Path. And it's the high twist sock base, superwash merino nylon, and the colorway Knit Away. Can you see this? Oh. I'm going to get better at this, I promise. I'm not very far along considering how long it has to be in the end, because the Musselburgh hat is a pattern where you cast on, increase, and then you knit, and then you cast, decrease, cast off, and then you fold it in on itself, and then you fold it over. So you need a whole lot of fabric. But that makes a fingering weight hat that is very warm in the end. And I know because I have 2 already, one of which was ready for last winter, so I wore it, and it is very warm, and it is really snug and just very, very nice. Excuse me. The yarn had fallen down. So there you go. Isn't that beautiful? So the colorway is called Knit Away, and it does self-stripe a little bit, which I'm not a huge fan of usually. But this is in such big blocks or chunks that I think it might look really nice on the, it will look really nice on the finished item. And also it's not as obvious, I don't think. So I'm happy with that. That's what I want to say. I'm happy with how this turns out. And yeah, nice, isn't it? And it's got green and blue in it, which my sons are very excited about because they love green and blue. And so I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they both, these are their favorite colors, so I think it will go to them. But they're the size is an adult size, but it's going to fit them. It's going to fit them, no problem. And I have a little progress keeper on here. That is a birthday cake, which Molly of the Homespun House included in, oh goodness, it was definitely a pre-COVID time. Oh man. I don't know if you can see anything when I do this. It's just a little tiny cupcake with some extra frosting and a birthday candle on top. And it's got glitter on it. And I ordered it. It was the Yarn and Charm Club. I want to say 2019, but it could have been 18. It could have been earlier still. I don't know, because they were definitely still living in Germany at the time, which they are now again. But in between, they were they lived in the US for 2 years or something. So it was definitely before their move, and it was a Yarn and Charm Club in September, because both her birthday and my birthday are in September, and she hinted that, you know, there's going to be a nice pink yarn in it and a birthday kind of celebratory charm, and that's what arrived, because I thought, okay, so I might as well get it, right? Okay, zip. And that's it for works in progress. I'm just getting out of my mending craziness, which I really enjoyed a lot. It was, interestingly, a very creative outlet for me. So now I'm easing into more knitting projects again. I have other projects on the needles, because I'm one of those people who have a lot of projects on the needles. And each project, you know, finds their time when I work on them almost monogamously. There's another sweater on my needles that you're no doubt going to see in the near future, because I used to be very obsessed with it, and I'm going to be very obsessed with it again soon as this guy is up my needles. And then I have a whole list of sweaters that I wanted to make in this year, and I have like a thing going where I don't have a thing going. I just want to work through my stash, because it's getting to a point where I don't have enough space for the yarn. And that's not because I am a crazy hoarder. It's just more because of we're 5 people now in a 3-room apartment. And so there's just limited space available. And I don't have any more storage. And I need to get hold of that situation, because it annoys me. Nobody in my family has actually said anything about it, but I am annoyed by it. And I am at a point where I cannot really tidy up my knitting stuff, or, you know, find a place for everything, because it's too much stuff. And that's not dramatic, and it's not the end of the world, but it annoys me. And I find it hard to you know, lecture my family about how it's important that they put their stuff away, and that, you know, all the tools and all the toys are not out all the time when I cannot, you know, take care of my stuff. So I thought, not to the degree that I want to. So I thought, okay, so I need to knit through some of my old friends that have, you know, accumulated in my stash, and that's what I'm doing with the striped sweater, for example. And also I'm a patron of Chelsea's, of Chelsea Makes, who is one half of Legacy Fiber Arts. And we have a little stash pact going in that Patreon group. And that is like, we all plan on knitting many things from stash, if not all things from stash this year. And I thought, no problem, I'm jumping on that bandwagon. But having said that, I just gave away that I bought the yarn for the dishcloths this year. But also I have decided almost kind of, I think, to not buy a yarny advent calendar this year, because it's just going to be too much incoming yarn with no actual purpose. Last year I had a project. Ooh, I can show you that next week. I don't know if I can be that ambitious, but next time that I podcast, because I just woven the ends on that, and I'm going to give it a soak, and then you can admire it, or you see it at any rate. And I am receiving a yarny advent calendar, because I do a little swap. with my friend Claire in Australia. Hi, Claire. I'm very excited for that because it's always great fun, and I'd rather focus on that calendar and find a good project or see what the yarn is and then see what I'll do with that, rather than, you know, be overwhelmed by all the yarn at just all at once, you know. So I think I'm doing good on the stash pack, but you know. Up next, let me quickly check my notes. Allow me to look down a little bit. I'm going to talk about like a little category that I have that's called spinning, sewing, mending, dyeing. So basically all the things that are not knitting. As I said, I did not bring my mending, but I already mentioned to you like that I have been mending a lot during the last weeks, and that the kind of things that I mended. So in the future, I'm going to bring some of those projects along just to give you a little nudge to also repair your pair of jeans that are worn through, and so on and so forth. I have, for my part, in my mending, sewing craziness of the last weeks, I've not been sewing garments. I'm not a very patient sewer, but I have been, for my part, been very inspired by Ellie of Little Drops of Wonderful. I'll also link her podcast below. I'm not rewatching, but like watching for the first time, because I have discovered her channel only in recent months. But I'm watching old episodes, like from the beginning of the pandemic, and she used to vlog a whole lot. Like she put a real effort into vlogging on a daily basis for a long time, and then she put out many podcasts after that. So I'm watching those 2020 podcasts. I'm still not out of 2020 on her channel, and she used to sew a lot and to just like sew project bags, which she calls her dodgy bags, out of old clothes. And I got so inspired, and I find her very enabling and inspiring without being like too excited and too loud about it. She just said, well, you know, I'm just going to do this because it helps me get through my day or get through this pandemic, so I'm just going to take you along for the ride. And that was just really my thing, and I thought she gave me that nudge. So whenever I have something that I'm mending, that I'm just going to bring it and show you, to maybe, I don't know, give someone the little nudge that they need. That would be perfect. And you know, in the future we can do things like mend-alongs, and I can show you how I mend my jeans at that point where like the thighs rub together and like create holes in the fabric. Is thighs the right word? I think it is, because that's the problem with jeans usually. And you know, there's a good method to mend them so that it lasts. I'm going to share that sometime along the road. There's this stuff that I have in my mind, plans that I have for this podcast, and you know, time permitting, kids permitting, family permitting, everything falling into place, I will do this, and I will make this a priority too. Spinning. I have a spinning wheel that's very simple. I did not bring it. I have a little, obviously, I did not schlep that around the house now to this other apartment so that I can show you. I'm going to show you next time when I'm podcasting from home, where what I've done so far on this little, what is it, a hank? Is this a hank? Guys, this is a little ridiculous because I'm a very new spinner and I know nothing. So I don't even know in German what this is called. Germans out there, tell me. Bett? Kammzug? Ist beides richtig? I don't know. At any rate, I bought this at my first post-COVID wool festival, Yarny Festival. It was a teeny tiny one. It was so lovely. That was going on July 1st and 2nd, hosted by my local yarn store, Woll Berlin. And I had a little mini market where you could go shopping. And I had a not knit night, but like knitting event just outdoors, and workshops. I'm going to talk about those because I took one. It was great. And I bought this. So this is about this marks the half of the hank, because I figure if I want to two-ply it together, I need to break it about here, start on a new, what's it called, spool, like on a new thingy, so that I have 2 sets of single plies that I can then ply together. Is that right? Spinners out there, I'm just gonna go for it because I don't know how else it could work. This is a category where you can learn nothing from me, but just do it. Just go for it. That's my best advice, but just because I don't know any better. So this is the fiber that I bought. Isn't that great? I think it's so beautiful. Ugh, I love pink. It's my favorite color. And I don't care how girly that sounds. It's always been my favorite color, period. There is nothing I can do or want to do about it. I love pink, all shades of pink. Even though I just said I love jewel tones, and I do. I'm definitely a jewel tone person. And here I am wearing white, talking about light pink, but I love pink. Not just light pink, all kinds of pink. So this is what I'm spinning right now. This is where I left off. I'm not sure if you're supposed to like pull it off when you pause, or to like secure it so that it stays on for like next time, but this is where my yarn broke anyway. Not yarn, fiber broke anyway, and I stopped because I was so tired, and I thought it might be breaking because I'm so tired. The neck, so it's I got the what's it, the tag. I bought it from Faserliebe, and it's a Rambouillet. Is that how you say that? So that's the breed. Kammzug. Oh, it's a Kammzug. And now I know the German word. Spinnfasern Kammzug. Rambouillet sheep, and that's what it is. There is no colorway name. I enjoy them. Like, these are so amazing to spin. Like, it's so much easier for me than with the other yarn that wool that I had before to produce an even, smooth, fine strand of a single ply. That is very interesting to me, because it might be the sheep breed, or it might be that this is so much, it's so curated and like so prepared, because I don't know if I have to prepare wool in any way before I start to spin, which I don't think that I have to with this, but I had another, I'm going to talk about that in a second. So I have another Kammzug, I don't know what that is in English, like another set of prepared fiber ready to spin from Faserliebe. So that is Fiber Love, translates as Fiber Love. Falkland Merino, right? And so I liked that because they have this like these lighter pink specks, and then that go with that other yarn, and then like, not, what color is that? It's like a purple with a little bit of burgundy in it. Like, it's not purple, but it's also not really red. It's like a very dark red or a red purple kind of. And then this mint. And then I had one of those hanks, I'm just gonna call it hanks, that was minty mint, like mint, and a few other things in there that would also have coordinated. And I didn't buy that because I thought, okay, so let's not get over ambitious and start buying all the things, because I don't know if I can manage to turn these two into actual yarn that I can knit with. So I didn't buy it, and now I wish that I did, that I had. And I think I can still order them. It's very local to me. Yeah, because that might be a fun project with these 3 skeins, you know? I don't know. But if I do, I might get another one of these. Like, if I do order that green minty one, I might get another one of these, because it's just so beautiful. I love those colors so much, and it's so much fun to spin. And I mean, what more can you ask for? And then I talked about like other wool that I had spun with, and I had bought it's like from a super like organic, sustainable whatnot platform, which I don't remember now off the top of my head what that was. I need to go looking through my emails, and then hopefully I'll put it down there. That was also very local to me, and I wanted this to have not much of a footprint. And because like I feel like my like spinning especially is so old of a tradition and so down to earth, and there's no fuzz about that I find it weird to buy fiber from like the other end of the world and have it shipped. And, you know, I just thought, no, I want this to be simple and relaxed and just to come about naturally, like on this tiny little festival where I ran into the ladies who are very local to me here, who dyed these beautiful beauties that I showed you, the fiber, right? I don't know what it's called in English. If you, well, you can educate me on this. I would be very grateful if you could tell me what that's called in English. Leave it in the comments. I'll appreciate it. I had bought, you know, to finish that thought, I had bought a gray wool where it's not prepared like this and braided together, but just like I think 300 grams of gray wool, and that was Corriedale. And I bought 100 grams of, I think it was also Corriedale, in a well, very light purple. And I thought, why not ply those together so I get a fun little variation happening. And I have enough of the gray to do a gray and gray 2-ply. And this is the second ever skein that I produced. The first I didn't bring. I like this one better. It's not, I think the other had too much, how do you say that? It was, in German you would say, es hat zu viel, da war zu viel Drall drauf. Jetzt weiß ich nicht, was Drall bedeutet. So there was too much of a, like I had too much twist on it, I think. So it turned out very scratchy, I would say. Like rustic is not even the word. Really very rustic and scratchy and a little tense. Like I think I gave it too much of a twist. That's the word I was looking for. So here, this was my second skein, and I think I was more relaxed, even though I found both fibers, especially the gray, hard to maneuver so that the strand I would produce, the single ply, would be even in some way. Like there, I'm going to show you. I mean, I put my tag on here where I described just what I did and what this is. But can you see how there are these big chunks everywhere? This, you know? It's also a look. That's what I told myself. Like, it is still a look, and it's just what it is. I'm going to make something with it. I don't know what, really. I'm going to have to think about it. Because it is pretty rustic. Maybe I should just knit like a sample and then wash it and see how it behaves. That would be a good idea. See if it softens a little bit, and if like how the stitch definition is, and what I think about wearing it next to skin. I think it would be too scratchy, but then again, nobody ever said anything against a like rustic cardigan that you're going to wear over things, and it's just going to keep you warm and be very long wearing, right? Hard wearing. What's the word? I don't know how much this is. I didn't weigh it. See, I'm such a rookie. Like, I don't know what I'm doing at all, but I just wrote down like what I did, how I plied it, what it is, what I ordered, what kind of yarn that I ordered, and that it was my first ever order, because then I will always know, you know, I can always place it. So that's that. As for sewing in the past, I sewed a little bit. Oh man, now I know what I could have brought. I sewed myself a big project bag, but I'm going to bring that when I start the project that's in that, and that's another striped sweater, because I was so in love with that striped sweater. The process, the color play, and like, oh my God, just the knitting. It's such a fun project that I and it's so destined to be a stash buster that I went through all kinds of scraps that I have, and also like full skeins, but single full skeins that are not enough for a sweater, obviously. Also, I'm not a person for one skein shawls because I'm very tall and they look flimsy and kind of lost on me. I don't like that. I want a little more, a shawl that's a bit more substantial around me. So that's not an option. I don't knit socks out of this merino hand-dyed yarn because to me it's always a little too precious, and also it is just not for me. And as a German, we are used to rustic sock yarn, and it's just not hard wearing enough. So I'm going to wear holes in these socks within a year. So I'm not going to, or 2. And I can't do that. I don't know. I use our German rustic sock yarn for socks. I can't help. Rather have them a little more rustic than too soft. Yeah. Anyways, you don't want to hear that. So, where was I going with that? Oh yeah. So I collected all kinds of, bear with me. Thank you for still being here. If you are, you've obviously, you stuck around long enough to, with my rambling on. Okay. I'll get used to this. I promise. So I sewed a bag that's a sweater size bag for my fabric stash, which is not much. Like, I don't have a huge fabric stash, but I use that because I also want to not get rid of it, but like to really use it up for another stripes sweater by Andrea Mowry, and I have put all the yarn that I consider for that in there. Okay, and tiny little things that I've sewn over the weeks are handkerchiefs. I love cloth handkerchiefs, not for when you are really sick, because that's not such a good idea, but for like everyday use, for when we are outside and the kids need a tissue, or they've spilled something and you need to wipe stuff away, or when you're out with kids, you need little what are they called, like napkins, cloths, wipes all the time. So this is actually, they're out of the wash, so they're not, I never iron anything, so they're crumply, but this is a fabric that I really like. They're all made of old clothes or rags that I had, or this is actually this is old linen, and it tore in one place so that I couldn't fix it anymore because the fabric was growing too thin. So I cut out the part that was really gone and like used the rest to make handkerchiefs. And this used to be linen too, so I have a lot of these reds, pinks. This is just a plain white one and another blue. So these are the fabrics that I used over the last weeks, and I would go with batches of 4. So I would like pin 4 handkerchiefs and then, collect them. And when I had pinned all 4 of them in the course of a day or 2, whenever I had a minute, I would then sit down and sew them and then put them away. And whenever I found myself, with a few minutes to spare, I pin the next 4. And so I produced a handful of handkerchiefs, and I enjoy seeing that stack growing because we can use many more than we had. And that's, putting those old scraps to good use, I figure. Yeah, right, that's that. Then I already mentioned that I attended a workshop on that wool weekend that I attended just 2 weeks ago, I think. And I went for a class that was called natural dyeing, because I've been wanting to naturally dye yarn and possibly fabric with the boys. And yeah, so I bought a book, and I read some stuff, but I found it hard to like put all together just in theory and then know what I actually have to do. And yes, you can figure everything out. And then there's also YouTube, but I only had the time when the kids were in bed, and then I was tired, and then I never, had the energy to like really plan, what I have to buy and get and to assemble and to do, and what colors to get and how to go about. So I thought a workshop would be a fine idea, and I booked a workshop, and we dyed a skein, and we also dyed little scraps of fabric, which I don't know why I didn't bring those, but I didn't. And that's the hank. It's a little untidy, a skein. It's a little untidy because it still needs the final rinse and to dry again, and it became just a little bit untidy just drying the first time around, but this is it. And she told us that if you wait for a short amount of time, like if you wait for another week or two before you give it the final rinse, the color might be longer lasting still. So I'm trying that. Not that I have anything to compare it to, but I'm just going to go with that. This is, oh man, I wanted to look it up. In German, it's Krapwurz. Usually it would have been much more red, but since many people went for the red, it turned out, she said it might become a lighter pink if many skeins are in the same pot. You could also dye yellow, but I don't want yellow. I'm not a person for yellow, but I feel like this is actually a good representation of the color. I don't feel like this is pink. I think this is orange. And with orange, I don't know what to do either, so except use it for my children. But this is a non-superwash merino yarn. So there are options to use it in color work. And it is not quite, but almost like it seems on camera, but in real life, I find it's not really a salmon-y color, but it is kind of salmon. Salmon, is that how I say it? Which is a color I like very much. And to have that in a color work project with like a dark navy blue, that could be very nice. Or with like an emerald green, even though that might be a little flashy. Or gray, I don't know. I'm thinking. I like the idea of a navy blue, but I like navy blue for everything, so that's not a surprise. So it might be that this is going to be a partner in some sort of color work project, or there's always the option of like, because I'm going to buy plants for plant dyeing anyways, to dye it over again with the same thing. If I can figure out what this plant is that we used, what that's called in English, I'll put it in that description box so you can, if you want to, check it out. I have in my mind a category for this podcast, which is called Current Obsessions, because I tend to be obsessed with things for a while, and also for like a longer while. And I tend to like talk about them to everyone who will not listen, My current obsession is, without a doubt, and it's an obsession that deserves the word. Like, it's a real, true situation that I've gotten myself into. Ask my husband, he will tell you. He will roll his eyes and, hope for the day that I get out of that rabbit hole. I watched the 2020 Emma movie, and I have rewatched. That was it cannot have been more than 3 weeks ago. And it's, I stopped counting, but it must have been that I've watched this movie 11 times over since then. Not never, but usually not in one go, because I never have the time to do that. But I have just been really, 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 really obsessed with that movie. And I'm not going to ramble on about this too much because I'll never stop, you know? But this is such a perfect rendition of the book, I feel like. Mr. Knightley is perfectly cast. In the beginning, you know, the Mr. Knightley of the movie, I thought he was really much a love at second sight, just like in the book, for me at any rate. So that was, I think he's perfectly cast, and I love everything that the movie does with Mr. Knightley, because the movie really like manages to find that dynamic like it is in the book with him and Emma. And also he as a character who, like, how he behaves with other people around, he's a fascinating character to me. And I you know, as a scholar, this is the scholar speaking, not very intellectually talking now, but still, this is the scholar in me that is fascinated with that character. And I think it is beautifully rendered on screen, like how he is and how he acts and how he is very open about who he is. And I like that he is the only person you actually see get dressed and undressed in that movie at the very beginning, how he really like shows himself and lays himself like bare, in a figurative sense too, right? But still is not really seen for who he is for a long time. I don't know if I'm making sense now, but I just find him so fascinating. And also, like, Johnny Flynn, who plays him, is amazing. I think he does such an amazing job, and he is such a beautiful singer. I discovered his music only through the movie. I think he's a great musician. I think the music that he contributed to the movie, like the ending credits and that piece that he sings with Jane Fairfax, it's just so beautiful. I'm really stunned. And Emma, I think, is also brilliantly cast for a host of reasons. She does a beautiful job of like being the center of attention all the time, and also the one that never kind of really fits in, because she also, I don't know, she's such a particular literary heroine. She's not very likable, and yet she kind of is. And that is, again, beautifully captured in that movie. That the movie is very funny, and especially some of the scenes where Mr. Knightley lectures Emma is so funny, without being, you know, funny in such a way that it takes away from the earnestness, the seriousness of the situation. But they're also, when they yell at each other about Harriet Smith refusing Robert Martin, who is Adam from Sex Education. He will always be Adam to me, because I hear Eric, the character Eric, saying Adam in Sex Education, and Adam is Mr. Martin, and I don't know what the actor is called, but Adam Groth is Mr. Martin. That alone is worth watching the movie. When Mr. Knightley finds out that Harriet Smith refused Robert Martin because of Emma, he yells at her, and at the same time she yells at him. So kind of screaming match, and that is so funny. And at the same time, it's such an important situation, like in the movie, and shows their dynamism that they have together. It's just so beautiful. I don't know if I'm making any sense to you. Probably not if you've not seen the movie or read the book. But then I can only urge you to do both, because both of them are just pretty freaking awesome. So the movie is amazing. And one more character I have to highlight, because she's just the best, and again, so brilliantly cast, and that is Miss Bates. She is so funny. Like, she has the funniest moments in that movie, and is so vulnerable and just so such a lovely, obnoxious, annoying, and really deeply funny character, that you cannot but like and enjoy. And so I could not but buy the book, kind of rebuy. When I went to college, I had the Penguin paperback, and this is the beautiful clothbound Penguin edition. So it's bound in linen. I'm gonna have to reread it also to get myself out of the movie watching frenzy, and it's going to be the most fun reread of all times for me. And then I'm going to talk about, now that I'm talking about books, I'm going to move into like my tiny little reading segment at the end. Speaking of rereads, I'm rereading The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling, because they are coming out with the, what is it, 6th novel in that series, and I loved all of them except for the second, which I did not enjoy, and I found it gruesome, and I could not. I read it, and then I got rid of it because I wanted it out of the house, because I think the scenes that happen in there I did not enjoy. I did not want to have like in my presence, if that makes any sense. Like, it was too bloody for me. It wasn't my thing. And this is I just discovered that one of my boys drew on this book. Oh, I hate that. Why do they do that? What did I want to say? This is an unusual read for me in many ways, because it's a crime series, and I don't read crime novels. Like, they don't do anything for me. I don't have anything against them. I just don't read crime novels because I don't know. I don't know why I would read them, kind of. I don't find it pleasurable. I'm sorry. If you love crime novels, please do read them. It's just that I'm not, it's not, they like I said, they don't really do anything for me. So, but these I love a lot. Like, I really love them. The second thing about this is, stylistically, they're not much. Like, I have to say, I like J.K. Rowling. I like her for her storytelling and for her the speed that a narrative can take up, and for how she develops characters. And I loved reading each and every one of those. Also the very bloody one. It's just that I didn't want to reread it, and also I didn't want to keep it, interestingly enough. And now with the next one on the horizon, I am very excited for it to come out. But stylistically, they're not much to write home about. Every once in a while, there are sentences where I'm like, didn't anyone proofread this? Like, was there no one at the publishing house who thought this could be expressed a different way? And again, that's the scholar in me who studied literature and says, like, you know, edit, but it doesn't obviously stop me from reading those. They're a great fun to read. I just enjoy these crime novels. Like, I never thought I would say that, right? I love these crime novels. There's hardly a series that I enjoy this much. And I'm starting to reread because I thought, oh, it's going to be forever before the new book comes out. And then it turned out that, you know, in 6 weeks' time or something, it's going to come out. I pre-ordered it at my local bookstore, and so now I'm waiting, for the end of August so that I can start reading, which is perfect because the book will be here in time for September 1st. And if you ask me, September 1st is the beginning of fall, and fall is my favorite time of the year. It's the best season by far for me. It's for me where the year starts. For me, the academic year that starts in fall kind of is the beginning of the year. So I will have that new book, what's it called? The Ink Black Heart or something like that, to read for fall. So yay. I'm very excited for that. Having said that, now we're in full swing of summer, which I am enjoying more than I usually am because I'm really not a summer person. It's my least favorite season, definitely. But it gives me the opportunity to wear dresses, which is something I love doing. I really love wearing dresses. We have our balcony covered in plants and potatoes and tomatoes and what are they called? I'm bad with food in different languages. Carrots and strawberries and all kinds of stuff. So yay for summer. Yesterday or the other day, I said to my husband, what are we gonna do when the season is over? Like, the balcony makes me so happy, and it so helps me with anxiety and stress and being nervous, it just calms me down so much. It makes me just happy, just plain old happy. That I feel like, what are we going to do when the harvest season is over? And I feel like we need to plant something that we can harvest in late fall, something like kale, I assume, and I don't care if I don't even like kale. I just want to grow something and harvest something. And I think if I grow kale on my own, I want to say garden, I wish, but on my own balcony, I'm going to like it. Or anyway, I can give it to my friends or parents or I don't know whom, but somebody's going to appreciate it and I can grow it. So that sounds good to me. So we're going to have to do something about that. But why was I suddenly talking about my balcony? Oh, because it's something I love about summer. I love summer for all the green, like for growing things and for all blossoms and like the bees, and I love that. But when fall rolls around, I'm going to be ready for it and I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to love it. So I hope and definitely think I'm going to see you before then. This is all I have to share with you for today. We're at an hour and 15 minutes almost, so that sounds fair, or less if I edit. But usually I talk so much that I wouldn't know where to edit. I have to figure out how to edit and how to do all of this. So give me a few videos, please, to settle into this and to find a groove and to find out about a few hacks and a few things that I can and should maybe do. Feel free to like and subscribe. Don't feel pressured, but feel free to leave a comment below. I would be very excited to read a comment or two. If you feel like sharing something on here, or and if you feel like coming back for a new video, it definitely helps if you subscribe so you're not going to miss it. I cannot make any promises about when I'm going to podcast next because I have 3 kids who are none of them right now in school or kindergarten or daycare or anywhere because we're on summer break. So we're going to see about that. I'm going to have to be spontaneous, but I'm definitely committed to doing this now. I'm definitely coming back here to talk to you about my knitting, about my making, about my mending, about my slow fashion, and about all the things that are on my mind or that I'm currently obsessed with or thinking about or doing or, So I will be delighted to see you back here. I hope you enjoyed this. If you stuck around to the end, thank you so much for bearing with me and for listening to my chattering on. Can you say that? To my just talking and talking and talking. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you're coming back. And I'm going to end it here. Bye. Take care. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.